All right. Good day, everyone. Hope many of you, if not all, either attended or viewed the recording of our webinar from a couple of weeks ago, covering details about the funding proposals for Infrastructure Canada's Build Back Better campaign related to the Canada Healthy Communities Initiative. If you are unable to submit your proposal on the March 9th deadline, don't panic. There is hope. You can still submit your proposal during the next deadline, which we will talk later in the conversation today. The purpose of today's discussion is to cover some of the details of the proposal and the questions that many of you asked on the proposal creation and submission during the last couple of webinars. So we'll cover all those questions. So my name is Ray Saberwal, and with me I have Dana Fox, our in-house expert on this campaign, and Cheryl Reed, who has been assisting our existing agencies and organizations developing their proposals. So before I start, let's have a brief introduction with our experts, Dana and Cheryl. Dana, do you want to start? Just a couple of, say a couple of things about yourself. Introduce
Sure.
yourself.
Yeah. So I'm Dana. Some of you have probably worked with me over the past 20 years as I've been working here with Athena Software since we were just a small little group working from our home. So welcome and good to see everyone back again. Really fortunate for us to, during this COVID time, to be able to work with Minister McKenna and the ministry to be able to introduce this Canada's Community Initiative. It was something that they launched back in August and or announced in August, and recently in January said, okay, we're making the details around the community foundations more public, and we were able to help introduce this to agencies across Canada. So thank you for joining us and welcome.
Cheryl?
And hello, I'm Cheryl Reed. I'm Customer Success Manager here at Athena. And unlike Dana, I'm a relatively new member of the Athena team, having been with the group just a little over a year now. But I'm working with our existing customers and helping them navigate some of these great opportunities that we've been able to help facilitate and introduce them to, and kind of maybe sort of pinpoint some ways that their Penelope solutions might apply, and kind of work through some of the paperwork and general questions to take advantage of what's being offered for them.
No, that's wonderful. So thank you both, Dana and Cheryl, and welcome. So to kick off, Dana, can you share what type of projects are qualified in the grant that Infrastructure Canada has set up, and what all is included in digitization as part of the qualification criteria?
Right. So the Government of Canada has provided the $31 million over the next 2 years to help fund infrastructure projects. Infrastructure can mean a lot of things. It could be setting up bike paths. It could be community centers. There are three different categories. The one that we're focused on is digital infrastructure. And digital infrastructure, as it's described within the Canada Healthy Community Initiative, is one that says, look, if you're able to establish some digital infrastructure that will help those most impacted by COVID-19, then please get together as a community and find a way that we might be able to serve you better if you needed some funding. And so this is where Athena Software said, this is in our wheelhouse. It's what we do every day. And we have helped thousands of people across Canada with just this type of a problem, where you're saying, I need something to get more organized so I can get more better results, better outcomes for less, and help get organized with some digital infrastructure. And so this is an opportunity for you to, whether you're a client of Athena Software or not, for you to take advantage of some of the funding that's currently available to any group across Canada that's interested in helping those most impacted by COVID-19.
Wonderful. And this is fantastic. Thank you for kicking us off. Cheryl, during your conversations with those customers that you assisted in filling out their applications, what do you think qualifies? I mean, what I mean by that is, would their Penelope licensing fee qualify? Would additional modules qualify?
Mhm.
Or do you think any installation or support costs qualify under this program?
So from what I gathered with reading the applicant guide and the description, so digital solutions, and there were a couple of different sort of areas that I interpreted that as diverging from. So there was both to sort of enhance community service and delivery, sort of what we think of with our Penelope solution as being sort of its sweet spot. So being
Mhm.
able to make sure you are able to get clients served in the community, okay, as best you can. And the other was in sort of responsible data management. I think it was the other term that was mentioned in the applicant guide. So that's kind of the behind the scenes and what Dana mentioned more with regards to the outcomes. So what kind
Mhm.
of reporting might be beneficial to kind of help support the client community with the needs? So we looked at it both from, you know, a new user of Penelope adopting and the
Right.
deployment costs. There would be an existing customer who's already been using Penelope, but maybe they want to add a module like AdMe
Mhm.
or Client Connect. So both of those solutions sort of enhances our client engagement and remote service delivery by being able to kind of handle more things electronically.
Right.
So subscription costs for both of those modules, I think would apply according to the description in the applicant guide, as well as maybe working with our tailored services team on some of the report creation or things like that if there's new reporting requirements and
Hmm.
outcomes that need to be reported up. So I think all of those types of services could be considered.
Well, that's a great news because I think there's a whole spectrum of services and products that agencies can use to, enhance or at least kickstart their digitization process.
Mhm.
So fantastic. Thank you for, walking us through the different components. So Dana, then how much is the minimum and the maximum amount of funding available for digitization for a given agency or an organization?
The minimum project floor is $5,000. The maximum
Okay.
is 250,000. But I have to tell you, if it's over $100,000, it will no longer be evaluated by your regional community foundations group. It will go to head office and
Hmm.
for a group to evaluate it. And if you've been working within the community for some time, you probably know people at the community foundations group, the regional or
Hmm.
local level. And so if it's under $100,000, you're working with people that you probably already know that will be
Hmm.
evaluating your project. And it always works better when you're working with folks that you know on projects that you both love and hold close to your heart. So if there's a way that you can put something together that's between the $5,000 and $250,000 level,
Hmm.
which with Penelope you can easily do. You've got the ability to submit that then to your local community foundations group for evaluation.
So if the proposal is above 100K, um, do you still get the same processing time? Do you still get the money within the same time frame, or does it
You,
get delayed and in chunks
no,
rather than?
no,
Sorry, go ahead.
it will get processed. They've designed this to I won't say that they're punching it out quickly, but compared to what most programs take, this is going to get when you submit something. As an example, the first phase or first wave was due March the 9th and 5 p.m. Pacific time. And they started looking those or evaluating those on March the 10th, like the very next day.
Wow.
And all of the applicants, so if you've submitted something, whether you won or you lost, you'd know by April the 30th. So that's in fairly short order. It's 45 days. The same will be true for the second round. I mean, if you submit something, it starts May the 14th at 9 a.m. And it closes June the 25th, 5 p.m. Pacific time. And again, you'll know by all of the decisions they'll start making decisions on June the 26th. You will know by August the 13th whether or not you've been able to successfully get the funding that you were looking for. So it's pretty
So
quick.
August 13th, everyone will know yay or nay, either
Yes.
way.
Yes, big or
Wonderful.
small, 5,000 or 250,000. You'll know. And are we in? Or are we out? Did we
Yeah,
get it or not?
yeah, no, this is wonderful. This is as efficient as a public sector entity can get. So
Yes.
wonderful. So Cheryl, do you know how long can they use the grant to pay? What I mean by that is when you were talking about all the ways any agency can use a product or a feature. I mean, can they pay, can they use it to pay any fee or licensing costs beyond 2021?
Well, I think in the guide it says costs that go right up until, I believe, the end of June 2022. So as well from April 1st, 2020, right? So that's kind of the time period of services that the
Hmm.
fund is meant to apply to. So, and I'll look to data after I finish this to see if there's any corrections he could make. But what I interpreted that as reading is, or as meaning is that, if you've
Hmm.
implemented ADME, for example, so our web form, if you
Hmm.
implemented that in May of 2020 in order to help
Hmm.
meet the needs of your clients, then that should be attributed to this as well and sort of retroactive to this. And then whatever subscription fees up to and including June 30th, 2022, I would see that those costs associated
Hmm.
with those solutions that you're implementing for the purpose of meeting the needs of your clients for
Mm.
COVID, those would all be applicable. I don't know,
Mm.
Dana, is
Dana,
there
is that,
anything else? Yeah.
I was going to ask the same question. Dana,
Yeah.
is that what your understanding
Yeah.
is as well?
Yep. So you have up until the June deadline of next year to account for all of the money spent, as well as the program that started and it's somewhat backdated. And so
Nice.
all of those expenses need to be outlined in the spreadsheet the template that they've provided. And we're certainly able to provide you with a proposal that says if you're looking
Hmm.
at acquiring new technology or some new modules, people like Cheryl, or even if you're just joining us and it's new, a new client, you'd be able to say, well, I'd like to get an idea of how much
Right.
would this cost. And it's not just the licensing part, but it includes the deployment, the setup fees, and all of those things. So
Right.
it's it's an opportunity to really look at a turnkey package or accommodating some of the expenses that have already gone into the investment that's gone into helping your agency do something that will help those most impacted by COVID-19.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you, Dana. So, Dana, what happens to those organizations that either forgot to submit a proposal on March 9th, which was the last deadline, or those whose proposals got rejected, or those who want to submit another proposal, and even if they won, or if they were to win their earlier submission in March 9th, what are the options here?
So if you submitted something in the first round, which I hope everyone had a chance to do, and you did not win, then you're able to submit a second proposal um, with the appropriate deadlines and get someone to evaluate your proposal again. And they actually encouraged in the applicant guide they suggested just that. Say, look, try on for the March deadline, and if you don't make it, don't give up and don't feel bad. Rewrite it or make some adjustments and send it in again, and see if there's a way that we can make this work.
Yeah.
If you sent it in and you were successful, I'm not sure that you're going to be eligible for a second round of funding. So they really are trying to find a way to accommodate as many communities across Canada as possible. And if you've got somebody on your team that's an excellent grant writer or proposal generator, they don't want one group to kind of just kill the engine. They're trying to find a way to help every community, whether you're in a big
Right.
city or a small one, to make sure that you've got some funding to help your community that really matters most.
Yeah. No, on that note, I'll throw in with the tongue in cheek is, if you don't have that expertise in-house, you can always reach out to Dana or Shell. They can provide their expert opinion or feedback to you that might help you just, clean up your proposal if you have had any doubts. So thank you, Dana, for that. Shell, are any existing are sorry, are are existing Penelope users qualified for this grant? And if yes, how and what can they use it for?
Yeah, well, absolutely. So anybody enhancing their services, essentially. So finding a need at this time to, reach out, make sure that it's easier for their client community to access their services. So any of those solutions are certainly part of what would be included here. So again, certain modules like ADME, Client Connect, just enhancing anyway. DQIL is another one, sort of one of our newer features that helps clean up data from just regular errors through data entry. So again, that's on the better responsible data management component of it. So anything like that, our existing customers can add on and be incorporated under this funding.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great news for existing customers to offset some of
I'd
their
add on
costs.
to that as well, Ray, that if you're an agency that's providing services for those that are impacted by COVID-19 or not, in March of 2020, on that one weekend when the gates came down and said that's it, you're now locked down and you're not able to participate or work in a way that you've normally done. Almost all of our agencies had to on one weekend switch from in-house, in-home visitation to online,
Yeah.
like overnight.
Remote service delivery. Yeah.
Yep. And so almost every agency that's using our software today has in some way had to use the online functionality of saying, okay, COVID-19 has impacted our business. We are now no longer able to have people come and visit us here in the office, or we can't go out to see you. And so we've had to now use some of this online engagement to be able to accelerate or deliver some of the same services that we've done in the past. It's critically important for those that have mental health issues. And so our technology has actually been in use, probably since, well, before March, but for sure after that March weekend in 2020, where it suddenly said, you're now doing everything online. It's like, yep, that's exactly how it worked. And if you're using Penelope, you have absolutely been using digital infrastructure to help those most impacted by COVID-19 in a way that you probably never dreamed of, but arrived suddenly over one weekend.
I agree totally. And, we have tons of examples of our existing organizations that have done.
Yep.
In fact, there are a couple of video webinars that you can listen to, which are available on our website, where our customers or Penelope users, I would say, have discussed how they enabled overnight, literally, their end clients being serviced remotely. So that's another topic for another day. Dana, I know you already mentioned this, but I would still like to reinforce that. When is the next submission date and how can you help?
So if you haven't already started, I would encourage you to go to our website. So Ray's done a fabulous job of getting it all organized. There's a section just on this topic with all of the different elements that you need to learn more about this. So I'd encourage you to go there. Everything that you need is really easy to find, including the links to, there you go, including all of the links that you need that would go to the federal government, the community foundations, the templates, the webinars, all of the different components that we've been building over the last 2 or 3 months to help make this process easy. The community foundations folks have made this extremely easy. There's only a few links that you need to step through to be able to get started. One is, am I eligible? I wanted to find out more about, do I qualify? What are some of the steps that I have to do? And so there's really only 2 or 3 links that you need to step through to be able to make that work. And so if that's something that you're interested in, it's super simple. And Ray's team has done a great job of building that out for you so that you can go there, click on a couple of links, and just get started. So that being said, when's the next deadline? It's coming up soon, but it is a little bit of a ways out yet. So the second round of funding opens up on May the 14th at 9 a.m. Atlantic time, and it will close on June the 25th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So there's nothing stopping you from today clicking on a couple of those links, getting a few people together in your community, getting organized, put together a submission, and send that in. And if you can do all of those things, well, then you're in good shape, because the proposals will be opened up on May the 14th. So you've got a little bit of time to do your homework, get the submission in, and wait for the good news to arrive on June the 26th.
Yeah, I know. So no, this is great. Thank you, for prompting me and reminding me to share that web page we have. Folks, as Dana was pointing out, the link to that page is available on our website. We have every link on that, every resource that you will need, including the applicant guide. The webinars that Dana and a few others did are also on that page. You can view the recordings. You also have the link to the Canada Infrastructure Canada's webpage, and a whole lot of others. So feel free to visit that page. And before we go forward, Cheryl, can you quickly share an example of how you've helped an existing customer filling out their application? Do you want to walk us through a template if you have one?
Yeah, sure. So looking at share my screen here.
Yeah.
And hopefully you can see that up there. So this is the Healthy Initiatives budget template. Was this something, so Dana, I think you and your team sort of helped fill in some of the examples of what a new deployment cost or what new deployment costs might be involved and covered, and kind of making it pretty easily. So when I saw the template, even though I was dealing with an existing customer who had long been deployed, we sort of looked at some of the other things they had been undertaking, and were able to quickly swap out things like, because they didn't need a data migration, but they were having a report generation. Okay, so we just kind of changed the terminology here to custom report creation. It was still considered a professional service fee. And you can see in the drop down, so we just kind of looked at the various categories for the expenses that would apply, and just chose, the applicable ones. And it kind of opened up the idea of even things that weren't necessarily listed on the template. They could maybe see some other examples of things that might apply. Working with them to understand the scope of the work that would be required, and put together the cost or the value there. And then under the description or methodology, just suggested to them to put into context what the purpose of that report would be, and why they felt it was applicable in these times. So that was sort of one example of how we used the template, but customized it for that customer's needs, and also found out sort of what they've been doing recently. So we got on the report generation because they had just requested a report to be created earlier in the fall. And so then with this coming about, they're like, wow, there's other ones that we could also really benefit from that would help the agency out. So we sort of factored those in as well.
So what you're suggesting is, if any of the customers want to fill up, or are they unsure about what goes or what qualifies, they can reach out to you and you can help them guide what is the cost and how they can, what's the description or the methodology, they can put it in there.
Yeah, for sure. And we would like, obvious things that are very clear cut from an Athena and Penelope perspective. But then anything else, to refer to the guide and the experts at the foundation group to answer their specific questions if it's not so clear cut.
Awesome. Dana, any comments on this template?
The only thing that I would kind of make sure that people understood is that we have, when we provide information, we normally provide you with a proposal. So that's not abnormal. This template's actually made it super easy to take the information that we provide in the proposal and simply shift it over and drop it in. So it gives you the ability to have the name of the vendor, the expense category, the dollar amount, and the description or methodology. It's straight off of the proposal that we normally generate. So you've got something to share with, if you're buying it for brand new. It's something that you can share with the board or the rest of the exec team that says, I'm recommending that we do something like this. So it's a full proposal from Athena software. It fills in all of the blanks. It gives you all the other information that you need. This is simply a summary that Community Foundations is looking for that says, so what is it that you're looking to do and about how much it will cost. And the page that the tab that we're on now, you'll see at the bottom left hand corner, it says simple budget template. That means you're getting funding for one simple project and you're getting funding from one source. If you're looking at splitting it so that it's coming, some of it's coming from Canada Healthy Communities Initiative, and another part of it's coming from the region or the province or a territory or something, then you would go to the detailed budget template, and it simply gives you a way to feather the expenses, saying, well, this is how much it's looking to cost. This portion we're expecting to get from here. This portion we're expecting to get from there. And so it makes it easier to say, if this is the project that we're looking at, this portion is the one that we're looking at getting funding from the Innovation Fund.
No, this is a great news that, you know what, if there is some leftover from other, if there's leftover part of any initiative that agencies were trying to implement, they don't have to wait. They can actually use part of this funding for that, for their initiatives, which is fantastic, which means you can use multiple funding sources to accomplish your projects. So great. Thank you for sharing the other part of the template as well, Cheryl. Wonderful news. So any parting tips, Cheryl, from you before we close the conversation today?
Just, you know what, like as Dana mentioned, there's a couple of months worth of work and an investigation to put into what you have been doing since April of 2020, as well as what you wanted to do. And you think, you know, from learning of some of the new services, even to augment your existing Penelope system, to look at some of those other things that you think are really going to make a difference and reach clients in a different way or more meaningful way, as well as the reporting into things. So any data management stuff. So get some time, look at those things, explore the resources that you've consolidated and made it easy to access. And yeah, ask questions, ask us.
Awesome. Wonderful. So thank you again, Dana and Cheryl, for your time, for this great initiative, helping agencies secure the funding that could help serve their communities in better and safer ways. Really appreciate your time today. So thank you again, and be safe, everyone. Bye for now.
Thanks, everybody. Good luck.
Thanks,